Morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Find yourself in great spirits. I hope you're looking good, feeling good, and doing good. And if not, I hope you get there soon. Today, I want to talk about This Fool Season 2. So, after watching Season 1, I looked forward to Season 2. I thought it had good writing. And I initially watched just because of the imagery. There was a lot of cholos, a lot of gang members, and ever since childhood, I was drawn to that type of media. The movie Zoot Suit came out, I had to see it. Boulevard Nights came out, I had to see it. Colors, etc., and so on and so forth. Guest appearances by some vatos in The Jerk, I got excited. Guest appearances by the same vatos in Chips, I got excited. It was fun, interesting to watch. It made me feel like the culture that was around me was important enough to be shown on the big screen or the small screen. And since then, it's come a long way. I would argue that the cholo is the new black man when it comes to negative stereotypes in Hollywood. You know, the black community for a long time objected to mostly getting roles that portrayed a villain, a crook, a pimp. They weren't often featured as doctors, lawyers, politicians, folks who society sees as pillars of society. And now, after a lot of strong advocacy, you have a lot of leading black men. That was not the case at one time. I feel that for Raza, you know, it's okay to make us the villain now. It's always a cholo who's a villain in mainstream movies. It's not the black guy no more. And this ain't to say, you know, we're bad, we got it bad and black guys got it good. I'm encouraged for their advocacy. Their advocacy paves the way for everyone else's advocacy, whether you like it or not. There's a saying that if you help a black man, you help everyone else by default. So this isn't to say, oh, they got everything and we don't. I'm just laying the history of how it was for them, what they advocated for, and what the movie industry looks like now. The new villain is Noel G. Every movie, the bad guy is Noel G, who has a mustache, dresses like a cholo. So when this fool came out, I knew they were going to try and paint a more positive picture. And to a large extent, they did. And they did it while being entertaining and funny. I liked the movie or the series a lot. And then earlier this year, there was another Chicano kind of cholo focused media release, which was the movie about the Cheeto guy. And I really liked that movie as well. But back to This Fool Season 2. I enjoyed it immensely more than I did Season 1 and the Cheetos movie, which I both liked. That's not to say they're not good, but Season 2 of This Fool was pretty, it was pretty amazing. And if I can equate it to something, I'll equate it to my experience with Luis Rodriguez. He's an author, acclaimed author, Raza, who wrote this book, Always Running, Living La Vida Loca. That was received with a lot of acclaim. He's a master at painting pictures with words. The Mexican Iceberg Slim. And the first book I read of his was Always Running, Living La Vida Loca, which was about gang life in the San Gabriel Valley. I believe it was Lomas and Sangra that he's writing about. And then I liked him so much that I bought other books from him. One was a collection of short stories that a lady friend who's actually pretty rich fucking stole. She borrowed it and never gave it back. Cause she really liked Luis. I hipped her to him, and she wasn't even raza. And so the second book I read of Luis was about this guy who drives a limousine, about a lady who sells fruit. It went beyond just the cholos and always running to paint pictures of the other people in the community. And that's what I saw with this fool. You know, the first episode isn't really about the Vatos. It's about Don Emilio, an old Mexican guy who is clashing with the neighborhood, but he still has these old values from Mexico. It's about Julio's mom, who's a cleaning lady and retires, and the struggle she faces with losing a sense of purpose, which was to go clean offices. A lot of people might look at that as, you know, a lowly position. The worst of us might even say La Gata. But it's honest work, and it gave her a sense of purpose. And the show touched on how folks deal with losing that sense of purpose. The Vatos in it are depressed. Some of it over women. I would joke with Raza that we were the only ones who don't know when to let go. I don't know if that's true, but I would joke about it. I would say, look, man, white folks, if the relationship is horrible, they break up and find new ones. I'm guessing black folks can do the same. Guessing, I don't know, honestly. But Raza, I see them in violent, angry, abusive relationships, and they're still like this, tight as fuck. They can't let go as much as they suffer and fight. They don't know when to cut bait. So I would tease them. And a lot of times these were mandolinas, I know, because they were putting up with a lot of shit that I wouldn't have put up with. I would have bounced long before it came to that. But I do see it. And so they're depressed over them. I could relate to that. I've had my heart broken. I've been that person who couldn't let go no matter how bad it was, until I suffered enough times to realize, hey, it's going to get better regardless. It always has. Experience teaches you that. But I could relate to them. When the mom and the abuelita try to console them by degrading the women, I saw the alcahuetas in my family who, no matter how big of a loser I was, no girls were good enough for me. And that's some Mexican shit. Not in all Mexican households, but those experiences that Julio and Creeper highlighted on the screen, and all the creators, were experiences that I could relate to. It was like when George Lopez first came out. You remember? Why are you crying? And the tia with the no toe. That was our families. We could relate to that. We saw ourselves in those stories. And I could relate to the stories in this fool too, even more than I could relate to the stories of going to prison, because I've never been to prison, coming out and you know, going to a Homeboy Industries type place. I liked season 1. It was fun. It was interesting. But that was the experience they were highlighting, and that wasn't so much my experience. Season 2, I could relate to a lot more. And again, it reminded me of going from Luis Rodriguez's Always Running, Living La Vida Loca, to his collection of short stories that rounded out the picture of the neighborhood by painting pictures of everyone else there. In season 2, they even paint pictures of the rooster in the neighborhood. A real rooster, not a vato named Rooster. It was usually a G. Like, you don't get the name Rooster unless you a G. I can't imagine like a guy that would rather be a named Rooster. But this was a real feathered fowl. Um, and so, at risk of repeating myself, I'm just going to stop it there. I highly encourage it. I know that YouTube folks oftentimes have a short attention span. Something's new and shiny, they all run over there, love it for 2 minutes, and then attack it when the new shiny thing comes out. And then they run over there, love it, worship it. And then when a new shiny thing comes out, they turn on that and run over there. I think this food is worth sticking with. I hope I'm not being biased just because I can relate to the stories. I genuinely believe it's good writing. I think the writing is better than the acting, but the acting, it still works. It's because the show is so well written, I believe. And with that said, I encourage you guys to watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. It doesn't matter if you're Mexican or what ethnicity. I think you'll probably see things in there that you can relate to. And, you know, I'm not Jewish. I never lived in New York. But I really, really enjoyed Seinfeld. I really, really enjoy watching Larry David, who's a Jewish guy in the media industry in Beverly Hills, which I've never had experience with. And so I hope this food can be that to people outside of my ethnicity who can give it a shot and say, man, you know, this shit is hella funny. And in the meantime, understand this a little bit better. So with that said, I give this food 2 thumbs up. Have a good one.